Okay, another IM, Otipap, 2330. Let's go for a main line, or bishop b5 to be annoying. I could do for a sort of Roy Lopez build up. So I've got experience of doing this only occasionally. Can I just take and then d5? Is that on the cards? I don't really want him to positionally murder me. So if I keep it a bit forcing there for d5. d5? Isn't that dangerous? What he's done? Because if I played e5, I just lose control of f5. He just murdered me positionally. That's what I mean. You know, via f5, I think he just murdered me positionally. But this way, I'm gaining a tempo on his queen, and d5 looks. Don't tell me I can beat 3 IMs today with forcing moves. So d5. What is going on here? If a6, maybe queen a4? Is that too dangerous? Takes. My queen, his knight's still attacked. He can take on c3 and take on d5. Queen a4, bishop c. I get the dark square bishop though. If bishop d7 takes bishop c6. Takes. Oh, I'll go for that. If bishop d7 dc takes, I've got cd check. So bishop c3 takes. I get the dark square bishop. You know, he might have dark squares to exploit. I think that was his best bet. Oh, he hasn't done AB to win the exchange. He's just giving up the dark square bishop. All right. So bishop c4 here. If queen e4, bishop e3, I've got bishop f7. So I'll go for that. So I want to play bishop e3, threatening bishop f7. But his dark squares are hopefully a little bit weakened. So I want to keep the light square bishop on. So maybe just if I castle, and there was also bishop b5. He wouldn't, if he moves the queen and let it plays bishop b5. You know, b5 I just take because I've got. So I'm on f7 now. Juicy. Now I just like these dark squares strategically. If that was an endpoint, that forcing move sequence, he's just weakened his dark squares. You'd have to evaluate carefully strategically the endpoints. So bishop c3. Okay, he got out of losing material though. But I like this dark square bishop. I should be able to do some damage with this dark square bishop. You know, even just bishop h6. But then there's queen h5. There's bishop a3 to stop him castling. There's knight e7. I shouldn't be that excited by this. Bishop g5, bishop a3. Okay, bishop a3 to start off. It still looks good, that bishop. But maybe it's not best. It could reroute later, maybe. Like the image recent crushing win against Nakamura. Reroute d6 to e5. Bear that in mind. So rook e1. I've got pressure on e6. I've got lovely bishops. I really don't want to muck this position up. No, let's not think about mucking it up. Tactical vulnerabilities and forcing moves. h4, h5. There's knight e5 takes. I just lose a piece. There's rook d1. There's rook e4. Maybe it's double for knight e5. There's rook e3. There's rook e2. What's wrong with just rook e2 here? If I just play rook e2 just to try and double on e5, that keeps the rooks coordinated. I hope. So there might be bishop e4 as a forcing move, but rook e1. I want to play h4, h5 takes and maybe sacrifice on e6 here. Just loosen up these squares as well as the dark squares. I've got to loosen, undermine this pawn chain. Try and keep a grip on e5. Maybe this diagonal c4, bishop b2, queen c3. At some point, c4. He's suppressed c4. That's really annoying. And now c4, there's knight a5. Okay, I'll bear that in mind though. That potentially c4 was useful. Although I've messed it up now. Queen b4. I can get my queen over. just before he kills my bishop with knight c4. At the moment knight c4 I take, but I can get my queen over, maybe bishop c1 to g5 to f6. I need to get onto these dark squares. This is where we should, I think, apply this forcing move stuff to how to exploit the dark squares, either with a positional sacrifice or with looking at forcing variations around the dark squares. So for example, queen h4 and try and force moves like bishop c1 to g5 hitting e7, that I could take on f5 and play bishop f6. Okay, I can lose c3 here for bishop b2 for queen f6. That's another forcing idea. But he's got b4 to close this up. So I have to do better than that. Maybe rook e5, bishop b2. He's always got b4. So I think I'm going to have to get the bishop via c1 to g5 to f6. If I can play rook e5 after knight c3. So knight c3, rook e5. Okay, so other forcing stuff. Bishop g6. It loosens the king for queen h6. That looks really good here. How does he defend that? Bishop e7. That looks as though that's really tempting. Knight e7, bishop e7, rook e7, queen g6. Then if rook g7, there's queen e8. If the king moves, it looks really good, just bishop g6. Famous last words. Oh dear, what have I done? I've invested a whole bishop for this sacrifice. His queen and knight are not helping the attack. Kasparov would look at this surely and say, this is worth a calculation, I hope. Oh no, his clock stops. No, I thought I lost connection there. I don't want to lose connection in this game. So knight e7, I take on e7, queen g6. Say king f8, I can play queen. Have I got better than bishop e7? Have I got better? What about rook e5? Then bishop e7, queen g6, knight e5. Or takes check, knight e5 or rook e5. Knight g5 takes rook e3, rook f3. That might be really useful. So quick rook g7, queen e8, king moves. Knight g5 and rook e3. You could sack the queen, still get to the h file. So king f7. Okay, we're in for it now. In for a penny, in for a pound. I'm giving up my precious bishop. He's down to 36 seconds. Okay. So is this going to be it? Make or break with knight e5 or knight g5 to open up the f file. Knight e5 and rook e3 just to open up the f file. Which is stronger, knight e5 or knight g5? Or just taking on f6 first? If I play knight e5, I'm keeping the king in the centre for rook e3. Which means maybe queen f6. He's down to 17 seconds. This could be the third I am going down today. So I've kept his king in the centre for rook f3. He's on f2 though. I don't want to get mated. Oh there. Protect this guy. I think I've messed this up. I've really messed this up. I didn't need to sacrifice all the bits. But he's only got 4 seconds. I can pin this rook to be annoying. Put pressure on the pin. He's giving up the rook. Back in the game. Examines. Blimey. I really messed that up. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Why did I do that? I sacrificed one bishop. This position up. I sacrificed one bishop with bishop g6, which, okay, is tempting, but I've only got one pawn for it. I give up my beautiful dark square bishop. I'm not sure if that's forced. He's probably going to play knight f5 if I don't. So I get, at least I'm justifying the 2 pawns for the bishop. So I've got 2 pawns for a bishop down. Then I'm tempted with an idea of another piece sack here, knight e5 or knight g5. I think this just needs engine analysis to see what's going on here. So I lost another piece, and this doesn't seem that good because he's defending with rook f7. I don't think this is right, this knight e5. Possibly good is knight d4, or simply just queen f6, because he can't play king g8. He could play rook f7, but then rook, queen h8 maybe. As soon as his king goes to e8, then I just play knight e5 free of charge. Free of charge, and I'm threatening queen h8. That was just terrible. Oh dear. That's embarrassing. Just queen f6, no need to sack a knight. That would have opened up the f file free of charge. Queen f6, rook f7, check, king e7, knight e5, still raging attack. As long as I'm careful with f2, he's not. I can carry on with the attack after. This has to be winning for white. I'll put the pgen if you want to analyse it. I'm really quite excited by today's events. It's 3 IMs that have gone down anyway. Comments or questions on YouTube. Thanks very much.